Even after nearly 40 years, Back to the Future still hides secrets most fans have never discovered. Behind its flawless mix of comedy, science fiction, and adventure lies chaos, casting changes, near disasters, and creative risks that could have destroyed everything. So buckle up, because today we're uncovering 20 secrets that make this film even more legendary. At number 20, we have The Yearbook That Started It All. Every story starts with a spark, and for Back to the Future, it came from something surprisingly simple: a dusty old high school yearbook. Co-writer Bob Gale was flipping through his father's yearbook one afternoon when a random thought hit him. What if I could go back in time and meet my dad when he was my age? Would we even be friends? That innocent question turned into the foundation of one of cinema's greatest ideas. It wasn't just time travel, it was family travel. A son seeing who his parents really were before they became mom and dad. From that moment, Gale and director Robert Zemeckis began shaping the story that would change their careers forever. And that single idea, one man's curiosity about his father, gave birth to a movie that would redefine the 1980s. But as wild as that origin sounds, what came next was even stranger.
At number 19, we have The Original Time Machine Was a Fridge. Yes, you heard that right. The DeLorean wasn't part of the plan at all. In the very first draft, the time machine was actually a refrigerator. Marty would climb inside, wait for a nuclear blast, and that explosion would send him 30 years into the past. Sounds ridiculous now, right? Steven Spielberg stepped in and immediately said, "No way." He warned the kids might try to copy the idea and lock themselves in real refrigerators. That small piece of advice didn't just save lives, it saved the movie. The team replaced the fridge with a stainless steel sports car, the DeLorean. With its gull-wing doors and futuristic design, it instantly looked like something from another dimension. And just like that, the DeLorean became one of the most recognizable cars in film history. At number 18, we have the title that almost ended the movie. It's hard to imagine Back to the Future being called anything else, but at one point, it almost was. A Universal Pictures executive named Sid Sheinberg hated the title. He thought audiences wouldn't understand it, so he suggested something he thought would sound more sci-fi. His proposed title? Spaceman from Pluto. The filmmakers were stunned. Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis thought the idea would ruin everything. Thankfully, Steven Spielberg handled it like a genius. Instead of arguing, he sent the executive a memo thanking him for his funny joke. That put the Sheinberg in an impossible position. He couldn't admit he was serious without embarrassing himself. And just like that, Back to the Future kept its name. Imagine the poster saying, "Spaceman from Pluto." Would you still have watched it? Probably not.
At number 17, we have 40 studios said no. Before Back to the Future became a box office hit, it was the movie nobody wanted. More than 40 studios rejected it. Some said it was too wholesome. Others said it was too weird. Disney even called it too inappropriate because of the awkward romantic tension between Marty and his young mom. But Gale and Zemeckis didn't give up. They kept rewriting, pitching, and believing. Finally, Steven Spielberg, who had already worked with them, decided to help. That partnership gave the project credibility and got Universal to take a chance. It's crazy to think that one of the most beloved films of all time almost never got made because people thought it was too innocent. At number 15, we have Marty McFly wasn't the original star. This might be the most shocking fact of all. Michael J. Fox was not the first Marty McFly. The original actor cast in the role was Eric Stoltz. They filmed with him for 6 weeks, entire scenes, multiple locations, everything. But there was a problem. Stoltz played Marty too seriously.
He treated it like a drama, not a comedy. His tone was dark, emotional, and completely different from what the movie needed. So the filmmakers made a brutal call. They fired Stoltz and replaced him with Michael J. Fox. That meant reshooting nearly half the movie, costing an extra $4 million. But it was the best decision they ever made. Fox brought energy, humor, and heart. He wasn't just acting, he was Marty McFly. His charm turned the film from interesting to unforgettable.
At number 15, we have Michael J. Fox worked 2 jobs at once. When Fox joined the movie, he was already starring in the hit TV show Family Ties. That meant his schedule was insane. He'd film Family Ties during the day, then head straight to the Back to the Future set at night. Sometimes he'd sleep only 2 or 3 hours before doing it all over again. His co-stars said it was exhausting just watching him. But Fox never complained. His performance stayed sharp, funny, and full of energy. That commitment brought Marty McFly to life, and the crew said his arrival changed everything on set. The chemistry, the pacing, even the mood. Suddenly, it all worked. At number 14, we have Christopher Lloyd almost said no. It's impossible to imagine anyone else as Doc Brown, but Christopher Lloyd almost turned it down. When he first read the script, he thought the role was too over the top. He worried it would look silly or cartoonish on screen. But after meeting Robert Zemeckis, everything changed. Zemeckis explained that Doc wasn't just a mad scientist, he was a genius trapped inside his own chaos. That clicked for Lloyd. He signed on, improvised half his gestures, and created one of the most beloved characters in movie history. His wild energy and great Scott moments weren't just funny, they were human. Without him, Doc Brown wouldn't have been a legend.
At number 13, we have the costume chaos. Behind the camera, the wardrobe department was a mess. Michael J. Fox showed up to his first fitting wearing his own Nike sneakers. The team hadn't brought matching shoes, so director Robert Zemeckis just said, keep those. Those same sneakers ended up in the movie. And Marty's bright orange vest, that was a last-minute fix. The original was dull brown, but it looked flat under the California sun. They switched to orange, and it became iconic. Even Doc's lab coat had layers of intentional chaos. The costume designers added random burns, stains, and pen marks, so it looked like he'd been living in that lab for years. Those spontaneous wardrobe changes gave the movie its timeless, slightly messy charm. At number 12, we have the accidents that nearly happened. Filming wasn't all fun and games. During the famous clock tower scene, Christopher Lloyd almost had a real accident. When the cable he was holding slipped, he was left dangling high above the set. For a few seconds, everyone thought they were about to lose him. And during the cafeteria fight scene, Tom Wilson, who played Biff, was actually punched by Eric Stoltz before Fox replaced him. Wilson's collarbone nearly broke. Years later, Wilson joked that he learned 2 lessons that day. 1, method acting can hurt. 2, never fight a time traveler.
At number 11, we have real foreshadowing hidden in plain sight. The movie's first scene isn't random, it's genius. When Marty walks into Doc's lab, clocks cover every surface. If you look closely, one of those clocks shows a tiny figure hanging from the hands. That's not just decoration, it's a direct hint at the movie's ending, when Doc hangs from the real clock tower to save Marty. Robert Zemeckis loved visual storytelling like that. He planted clues everywhere, from the Twin Pines mall sign that becomes Lone Pine after Marty knocks one tree down, to the lightning that appears in Doc's sketches before it ever strikes the tower. These tiny Easter eggs are why fans keep rewatching the movie and still notice new details decades later. At number 10, we have the hidden pop star cameo. If you blank, you'll miss it, but one of the biggest 80s musicians appears right in the movie. Huey Lewis, the lead singer of Huey Lewis and the News, who recorded The Power of Love, has a cameo. He's the strict judge at Marty's band audition who says, "I'm afraid you're just too darn loud." It's perfect irony. The guy whose song defined the movie soundtrack ends up rejecting Marty's performance on screen. That clever little moment blurred the line between pop culture and film, making the movie feel even more self-aware and fun.
At number 9, we have the movie nearly got canceled mid-filming. After replacing Eric Stoltz with Michael J. Fox, the studio panicked. Reshooting almost half the movie added millions to the budget. Executives feared it would flop. But Zemeckis and Gale stayed calm. They kept shooting, kept editing, and kept believing in their story. By the time test audiences saw it, the fear disappeared. People loved it. They laughed, cheered, and demanded sequels. That near cancellation moment became a turning point and proof that bold creative choices can save a film rather than sink it. At number 8, we have the stunts were way more dangerous than they looked. The skateboard chase through Hill Valley? Absolute chaos. Michael J. Fox trained hard for weeks, but many of the fast-moving shots used a professional stunt double. Every turn, jump, and kick had to look natural. Even the flapping of Marty's jacket was choreographed to hide the double's identity. Fox still performed many of the close-ups himself, dodging cars, hopping curbs, and racing through fake traffic. The scene feels alive because it was real movement, not just camera tricks. Even decades later, it's one of the best-paced chase scenes ever filmed.
At number 7, we have the hidden family inspiration. Bob Gale didn't just write about time travel. He wrote about his own family. He's admitted that parts of the McFly family were based on his real relatives. George's nervous personality, inspired by his father. Marty's humor and sarcasm, based on himself. Even the way the McFlys interact around the dinner table came straight from memories of Gale's childhood. Those small, personal touches gave the movie authenticity. That's why the McFlys feel like real people, not just characters. At number 6, we have the deadbeat line that almost got cut. Leah Thompson, who played Lorraine, came up with one of the movie's most memorable insults on the spot. When she calls Biff a deadbeat, that wasn't in the script. It was a spur-of-the-moment improv. Studio executives wanted to cut it, thinking audiences wouldn't get the slang. But Zemeckis fought to keep it. The words stayed and fans still quoted decades later. That little line gave Lorraine a spark of personality that made her unforgettable. At number 5, we have the car that became a character. The DeLorean wasn't just a prop, it was a co-star. Every move, every sound, every flash of light added character. The car's design made time travel look real. John DeLorean, the car's creator, was thrilled when he saw it on screen. He even wrote the filmmakers a letter thanking them for immortalizing his car. The DeLorean went from a struggling product to a cultural icon overnight. Even today, seeing those gull-wing doors open feels like a moment in history. At number 4, we have the clock tower pigeon problem. The Hill Valley clock tower scenes were legendary, but behind the camera, there was chaos. The outdoor set attracted pigeons. Lots of pigeons. They landed on props, wires, and even the cast. Every time the crew tried to film, the birds would fly through the frame. The team had to quietly shoo them away between takes just to keep the tension of the lightning strike scene intact. So if you ever rewatch the movie and see something flapping in the corner, now you know. It probably wasn't a special effect. At number 3, we have the real manure scene. When Biff crashes into that truck full of manure, you might assume it was fake. Not quite. The team mixed cork, mud, and food scraps to create a realistic texture and smell. Under hot studio lights, it was disgusting. Tom Wilson had to fall into it multiple times. He later said the hardest part wasn't the smell. It was trying not to laugh while pretending to be furious. Even Michael J. Fox couldn't keep a straight face during rehearsals. That's one scene they were all happy to finish. At number 2, we have Spielberg almost rejected the composer. Steven Spielberg didn't initially believe Alan Silvestri could deliver the right score. He worried the music wouldn't fit the film's tone. But once he heard Alan Silvestri's final composition, the grand brass fanfare, the thrilling strings, the emotional swells, he changed his mind completely. That score transformed the movie from great to epic. To this day, hearing those first few notes instantly brings the entire story rushing back. It's not just music, it's time travel in sound. And finally, at number 1, we have the movie that beat time itself. When you step back and look at it, Back to the Future shouldn't have worked. It was rejected dozens of times. It swapped its lead actor halfway through filming. Its title was mocked. Its stunts were dangerous. And yet, it became timeless. Every disaster, every accident, every late-night rewrite somehow came together to make a movie that still feels alive nearly 4 decades later. It's more than nostalgia, it's cinematic lightning in a bottle. And just like Doc Brown said, if you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything. Because this film proved exactly that. Back to the Future isn't just about time travel, it's about risk, courage, and the chaos of making something unforgettable. Against every odd, it became a story that's still racing at 88 miles per hour through movie history.